This is exactly the reason why most people absolutely suck at doing calisthenics. The first reason is because most people stop after doing the basics of calisthenics. People seem to think that that is all there is to calisthenics, and after you reach the basics, there's nothing else left, but they could not be further from the truth. The thing about calisthenics which makes it stand out to any other training style is the fact that there is continuous skill acquisition. So I'm talking about there is a regression and progression for everyone at any level. That means that if you're at an advanced level, you can still advance to a higher level. There's always going to be harder exercises. And if you're at a beginner level and you're struggling with those harder exercises, you can always go back to easier exercises. For instance, in pull-ups, you can always start off by doing negative pull-ups or scapular pull-ups, building initial strength for the full pull-ups. And then when you master regular pull-ups, you can go more advanced by adding in some wide push-ups into your routine, or adding in some narrow pull-ups, or even doing some archer pull-ups, which is a little bit more advanced. You can even move towards the one-arm pull-up in the future, building up towards it just like you can with the one-arm push-up. And for the push-ups, you can do knee push-ups and negative push-ups if you're a beginner also. So there are so many options, and depending on what you're doing, whether it's a push day, pull day, full body, legs, cardio, conditioning, whatever, there's always going to be easier exercises and harder exercises you can do in calisthenics to improve. The main things that you need in calisthenics are a desire to improve, knowledge on programming and planning your workouts, or simply a good coach. If you have all of these three, you will succeed in calisthenics, and there is no doubt about that. The next reason why people absolutely suck at calisthenics is because they're afraid to fail. So I'm talking about fear of failure, because let's be real, who wants to fail? No one wants to fail. Everyone wants to be successful, but you have to fail to improve. That is the sad truth. This is the case in life. This is the case in calisthenics. So get used to failing. I failed so much in my calisthenics journey, time after time, with skills that I'm trying to acquire, or just cleaning up my form or technique on exercises, to the point where now the exercises, the form on skills and the technique is flawless, but that is only because I failed time and time again. It's the same thing with everything. Whether it's trying to improve in your job, you're gonna fail in some areas in order to learn. That is the whole process. It's the same with me, even in terms of content creation. When I first started, I was only getting 50 to 100 views, but I kept going even though I was failing. Same thing with something like a handstand. If you keep failing, you have to keep trying, and you'll learn from those failures to improve. So don't worry if that's you and you're failing right now. You will improve eventually. You'll learn, and you'll start to implement new things you've learned into your training, learning things even faster in the future, even if it's a completely different skill. So you'll gain massive experience from failing overall. You have to push past your comfort zone in order to grow. And so this means breaking down mental barriers and turning that I can't do it mindset into I can do this. You just have to be a little bit careful with how long you try on an exercise before you eventually burn out physically or mentally. And I'll get into that a bit more in a second. A lot of people get trapped in the idea of perfectionism, especially in calisthenics, when realistically, even the professionals, even the advanced athletes do fail from time to time, and their form is not always 100% perfect. Yes, they will have a higher rate of getting near perfect form, maybe like 80 to 90% compared to the average person or someone who doesn't take calisthenics as seriously. However, they're still not always going to be perfect. So don't compare yourselves to anyone else on social media, especially not the advanced athletes or professionals. The likeliness is they've been doing this for years, and they failed so many times before they got to the position they're in now. There are going to be days in calisthenics where you feel frustrated and annoyed, but usually you can come back stronger the next day, or even the next week, or even sometimes the next month. It gets worse, however, when you start comparing yourselves to others, and this can cause discouragement. Comparing yourself just takes the enjoyment out of what you're doing, which is definitely not what we want. You have to turn that internal dialogue in you into a positive one. And if you're struggling to do this and you feel like you're really on the edge of giving up and you feel like this is never going to happen for you, which did happen to me as well, until I found a calisthenics community online that I was able to converse with. Just even in social media comments on certain influencers' pages, I was able to give myself that boost. But if you want a bigger boost, something that's really going to help you get to that next level, guaranteeing yourself success in calisthenics with people who all want to improve just like you, finally achieving the skills and building the body and mindset that you want, then look no further than the Calisthenics Academy. The Calisthenics Academy is my own community where you guys can be a part of something bigger than just normal calisthenics. You can improve your mindset, you can break those mental barriers, and there's gonna be people around you supporting you every single second of every day. Having that extra and special guidance where someone who knows what they're doing, has been through the exact same process as you, is guiding you every step of the way to become the best version of yourself, as well as having other people around you that all want to help you as well, is going to help you navigate your journey even better and overcome your fears. I'm also in there to help you guys whenever you need that help, so you can still watch this channel and you can get my insights, secrets, and special tips added onto your training, which is gonna go such a long way, and you're gonna progress 100 times as fast. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll leave a link in the bio. But let's get on to the very last point of why people absolutely suck at calisthenics. So the last reason is neglecting mobility and stretching, and you might have seen this coming. Neglecting mobility is a lot more serious than you may think, especially in calisthenics and especially when you try and move to the more advanced movements. Neglecting mobility is going to hinder your performance and your progress, and even worse, this could lead to a devastating injury. Calisthenics requires a broad range of motion when you get to the more advanced skills. Even skills that are just a little bit harder than the basics are going to require a little bit more flexibility the more you delve into the calisthenics world. Mobility and stretching is part of your recovery and honestly part of your rest, which is also another sub point of this point, which is to make sure you're recovering, and by doing so you need to be stretching. Make sure to warm up before every single workout, limiting your injuries as much as possible. Calisthenics can be very strenuous, especially for people who haven't got too much experience, and especially for people who actually end up rushing their progress, which is completely wrong. You could be someone that is doing that and you could get injured. You need to be careful. You need to make sure you warm up. You also need to make sure you stretch at the end of each workout, and you also need to make sure that if you find time on your rest days, you are stretching and working on that mobility. The more you do it, the easier calisthenics is going to be for you, and in the future you won't need to stretch as much as you used to because you already built up an amazing amount of flexibility and mobility, allowing you to take care of it without putting in too much effort in the future. Of course, if you don't know what stretches to do, you have no idea, then I do have modules on the Calisthenics Academy you guys can check out also. People think that maybe you can just get a muscle strain in calisthenics and it's not that serious. Well, I've got news for you, buddy. It is that serious, because if you do too much calisthenics in the week, if you're doing too hard progressions for your current level or too difficult of exercises for your level, you could get injured, and there's multiple ways this could happen. You could overwork yourself and your central nervous system, meaning you're going to get fatigued easier, your recovery is going to be poor, which can lead to injury and certainly fragility. Of course, you can get muscle strains, as we said, but not working on mobility, not resting and recovering properly is going to also affect your joint health and potentially even harm your tendons. The last thing we want is a joint or tendon injury, because this is going to put you out way longer than any muscle strain is. So you want to be avoiding this at all costs, and I'm saying this from experience. A few years ago when I was doing calisthenics, I had some forearm pain, which is actually a slight tendon issue and injury that put me out on doing planches and any planche work for a good few months. So make sure you do not make the mistake of doing too much too soon or overworking yourself, because this can also lead to a mental burnout. You guys do not want a mental burnout, because I mean, we want to be enjoying our calisthenics journey, guys. We don't want to be thinking that it is a pain to do calisthenics. Calisthenics is a joy, it's art, and there's so many positives about it. So don't make the mistake of not warming up. Don't make the mistake of not stretching and working on mobility. And please do not make the mistake of overtraining and overworking the muscle and just every single part of your body. If you watch this video and you think that your calisthenics routine might include some of these issues, which you definitely need to address, then make sure you stick around for my next video, where I'm gonna show you guys how to create your perfect calisthenics guide and workout routine to make sure that you don't get injured and to make sure that you actually see progress with equipment and without equipment. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe. Also make sure to like the video if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, and also leave a comment of what you guys want to see next. Love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.